Okay, welcome to today's how-to video on how to paint a camouflage vehicle. Okay, got here just standard Lehman Russ tank, nothing fancy on it. What I'm going to do is remove the turret because we don't want any distractions at this point. You're going to start with just the basic hull, base coated with whatever color you've selected. Now, camouflage can be as simple as a single base color with a couple of extra colors added, or even a single color added. If you go back to World War II, British and U.S. tanks were olive drab, kind of olive color, green color, and that was it. No camouflage per se, no patterns. Of course, the Wehrmacht had plenty of camouflage patterns, so you don't have to actually camouflage it in the sense that I'm going to show you, but still, I think it adds some distinctions to it. So, how do you go about doing this? Well, the first thing is to choose the colors you're going to want to use. Now, I have already selected a tan undercoat, but you have to determine whether you can use 2 or 3. Now, I've done 3 in mine, so I'm going to use this base. But I've also decided I knew I wanted some browns, so I looked at some different browns. Now, I use for a lot of mine, I don't use GW colors. I use Delta Ceramcoat or Americana. Here's some browns like raw sienna, a dark brown, different olive colors or forest green colors. Those are some of the things you're going to want to base it on, because I'm going for a forest, wooded type of a landscape. So I'll look for those browns. You might want to mix up your own, so that's what I did here. I took raw sienna 50-50, so you might be able to, hopefully can see in the video. The raw sienna is redder than this mix. This mix actually has a 50-50 mix of this and a chocolate brown, so it's not quite as red. I wasn't going for a very red brown. Now, once you've got some ideas about what colors you might want to use, the best thing to do is just get a piece of cardboard, some scrap mail, an envelope or a bill, and just paint. Use a Q-tip, swab some of the paint colors on that next to each other to see if it looks good. And if it's a 3-color scheme, paint all 3 next to each other. Make it look to see which combination of colors you like the best. So that's my suggestion for actually how do you select the right color. Now, as far as how do you apply it, that's actually pretty easy. I'll be facetious and say any way you want. Because let me show you some examples. In this Chimera, it's a vertical brown and green stripes on that base tan to break up the outline. All right, but on this Lehman Russ here, it's patches of brown and green, broad stripes, not stripes, but broad sections. Okay. On this particular piece, it's wider stripes. You can see it's a pattern of the brown, tan, green, brown, tan, green, brown. It's just repeated throughout in large bands. That was the approach taken, and so there's several different options. Even here, it's a slightly different version than the Lehman Russ. Both going with more of a patchy approach to adding the greens and tans, the greens and browns to break it up. They're not actually stripes. Now, if I were to actually compare this model to the other two, you'll see these are the areas of green and brown are different on each model, because in reality these patterns won't be applied consistently across every model. Whether it's in the factory or whether it's out in the field, it won't be exactly the same. Now, a factory may have a little better chance of getting them similar, but I like mixing it up more. So I'm assuming all these were painted in the field by the mechanic crews, and they're not going to care about the matching vehicle to vehicle. They're going to break them all up so they're all different. just they're not really going to pay attention. So we'll kind of take the same approach. Now, since this is a Lehman Russ, I'm going to follow this Lehman Russ pattern. Okay. So when I say follow generally, what I mean is I've got a base of yellow, and I'm going to go with some green bands. That's the best way to approach it. And then follow it up with some brown bands that will overlap some of the green. So it's sort of patching by band. And so it's actually very, very straightforward. And I like to start with the brown. Okay, so just give this paint a good shake. Grab the brush. And we'll get going. So it's essentially just stare at the model. You've got to, you can have something back as a reference, whether it's a picture or a similar model, and then just start somewhere. So I'm going to start down here in the lower corner, and we'll just start. I'm going to start lining out where I want the brown to go. Okay, so it's going to follow kind of that direction. I'm not going for a full effect here. I'm just going to lightly brush it on to give me an idea of where it's going to be, because I'm just sort of drawing the camo pattern. And so I'm going to want about 1/3 of each color. Now you'll see sometimes that some guys go for 2/3, 1/2, 2 parts of one color, and then that's probably not the best way of putting it. So 25, if it's a 3-color paint scheme, the 25%, 25%, 50%, and I have not seen that before in any of my research. But usually, it's if there's 2 colors, the base color is 33, or is 2/3 of this area. The added color is 1/3. If there's 3 colors, it's 1/3 each. So that's kind of what I'm going to go for here, 1/3 each. So I think I'll just start another line here, and here I'm going to want to kind of send it coming down in one direction, and then make it angle in a different one here. So it's actually going to do a little bit of an elbow thing going. And I'm going to want this to, that's probably about the center line of it. So I'm going to actually bring it over here a little bit further forward. We'll come across the top of this sponson and down the side. Okay. And then we're going to come underneath, and then just kind of fill it in. I just want to get just a visual. Okay, so it's a little bit thin down here, so I'm going to thicken this area out, widen this band area here. Okay, that's looking looking a lot better. And then I'll start using this here. And here I'll do kind of the same thing, but here I'm going to actually follow the front curve here. So that's the way I'm going to do it. Bring this one almost straight down here. Bring it down this way. Now here these springs, I'm going to go back and paint those, a dark metal, almost a black silver. So I'm not too worried. That's one of the reasons I'm painting this camo now before all the details are on. So I'll be able to put the silver on this and the darks on here afterward. So that way I don't have to be too concerned about how careful I am with this. So just fill it in. And again, this is not the first coat. This is just the first line. You're drawing where the camouflage is going to go. Okay. Now, what you need to do is at the joint of the top and side, you want to make sure you take that and you continue it. So wherever it ended here, it ends up here. Okay, so I'm going to just, there's my 2 side edges. There's my 2 edges here. Now it doesn't have to continue on the same angle. You've changed the plane now. You're on the vertical or the horizontal surfaces, so you can actually go in a different direction. And for this one, I'm going to take it further to the back. Okay, and here I'm going to bring it straight across and actually loop it to the front a little bit. Okay, Here I want to make sure I'm completely covering the edge. Okay. All right. Excuse me, that looks good. Sorry about that. Okay. And just work my way around. And just kind of, almost see where it goes. I mean, I don't really know where it's going to end up, but you can see it's coming in this way now. And that's the beauty of this, is just let it flow. Doesn't need to be perfect. Where these are being applied on the field, in sometimes hurried conditions, and you are going to want to go underneath anything that's going to be visible from the front. Oops, try not to touch the paint. You're going to definitely want to do it. Cover every surface that would be visible from the front, side, or back. So even though it's a under surface, you still want to paint it. And so here I'm just going to bring it around to the back toward the treads. All right, so yeah, let's bring this over a little bit. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, and then this one here, let's bring this one around. I don't know, let's see. Yeah. Again, don't worry about the turret yet. That's the last thing you worry about, okay? You have to first get comfortable and get happy, if you will, with the way the camo looks on the body of the tank first. Turret will come later. There we go. I want to bring this back here, across the back. Okay. Now see, that's, in my mind, that's a little too thin, so I'm gonna change my mind, and instead of just kind of looping and only going down the lower half here, I'm gonna bring this up and go through the top of the hatch here as well. So most of the hatch will end up being this reddish brown. Okay. So again, you just kind of go with it and see what happens. If you actually have a photo you're trying to follow, well, obviously you're gonna try to follow that a little more closely. But here I'm just really quickly drawing out where I want these lines to be. Now it doesn't have to follow all the way around the tank like I am doing here. You'll notice here in the front this didn't, but here kind of feels good. I want to do this. So here's some in the back. I'm going to make this entire segment here straight down. This is all going to be that brown. Okay. And then we're going to have some of that brown out here, which will just cover the very tip of there. Okay, so that's how that worked. Alright. Not too bad. I think in this space here there's probably going to be too much room to do green and get a 1/3 proportion on each. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here and I'm going to expand this side over to the back. So see, I'm taking it off the curve here, bringing it up this way, and we're going to bring it down the face of this rear box. Okay, and then I will go ahead and I just like to be complete, so I don't know you really need to do this part, but I just feel like it's unfinished if I don't paint the underside of that box. Alright, and so boom, there we go. Okay. Now you notice I don't have the treads on yet. Now that's deliberate because I don't want to have to worry about painting the treads and getting paint from the tread onto the model or from the camouflage onto the tread, just a hassle. So here I'm trying to make it easy on myself and keeping those off until the very last minute. Alright. Okay. So again, I'm not trying to get a perfect paint job at this moment. I'm just trying to make sure I have my lines delineated where the boundaries of this particular color are going to be. Okay. Because I'm going to go back with as almost a second coat and make it full, fill it in so that it's actually more solid. All right, so I'm just going to start up here, bring this down. Now this is my Vanquisher, so it's patterned similarly after my Annihilator, but the Vanquisher is the company command tank, so it's in a separate unit. It's in the command unit, obviously. Alright, so this is gonna, I've got the bands going, but it's not quite as necessarily as strong as the other one, but it's very similar. So again, here there's a nice little wide on the bottom, narrow at the top. It works out okay for me. I'm going to go the other way here. I'm going to go wide on top, narrow on the bottom. And I'm actually going to bring it from the entire side of the track guard, and bring it down. And so I'm going to just kind of paint where the band is going to go. It's just a guideline for me. And then now I can fill in around it. Let's see, it's going to come down here a little bit. There we go. Alright, so there it is. Okay, now again, we have to do the same thing on the top. Alright, I'm going to take this and we're just going to bring this straight across. And I'll make this one come up through here. There, like this. And we'll bring it around because we're going to let this one kind of connect up with it. Okay, so it's almost like a semicircle. Alright, and of course, this goes here. I don't want to bring it all the way across. I'm going to start bringing it up so it leaves that front edge. And then marry this up with, there we go. Alright, so there we go. So there's my brown on the tank. I think that's about the right proportions. So I'll go ahead and finish this out. Now it is a matter now going back and painting it to make it a nice solid opaque finish. So when I come back, these will be completed and some of the edging will be a lot finer, a lot more crisp. But that's the first step, okay? So I'll be right back when I'm done with this particular model, this particular paint. Thanks.